Hello everyone. PvP in Black Desert can be complicated and very hard to understand. So in this guide, I will do my best to explain everything there is to know about PvP mechanics, from CC and their limits to protections and how to manage them. Hopefully by the end of this guide, PvP will finally make a bit more sense and easier to understand. Also, a quick heads up, I'm a bit sick while recording this, so if my voice sounds a bit weird, I'm sorry about that. Now, before we start learning about CCs and protections, there are a couple of important settings you should turn on to help you follow along and understand what's happening in the fights. First, let's enable defense icons. These will show you which protections you are using in combat. First, go to settings, then general, then show and hide into defense icons and turn them on. This will let you see small icons appear above your character during combat, from super armor, frontal guards, or iframe, which will make it a lot easier to understand what's keeping you safe and when you are vulnerable. And since we are in the settings, scroll down under show and hide till you see something called miss effects and enable it. This will allow you to see if your skills misses the target or not. Now, crop mode isn't a must-have for PvP, but it's really nice to use. It widens your field of view so you can see enemies better. As you can see, while I'm in normal mode, I can't see the NPC on the side. But the moment I switch to crop mode, I can see them clearly. Also, it's supposed to increase your FPS, though it doesn't really do that for me. Then again, I'm running the game on a very old system, so it might work for you and increases your FPS. Next, to see what protections or CCs each of your skills have, open your skill menu by pressing K on your keyboard, then click the three small lines in the top left corner. That's the filter menu. From there you can choose to highlight skills with CC effects or protections. This can be very useful for learning your class or planning your combo. Keep in mind though, some skills shows two types of CCs. PvE only CC, which will have PvE only written after the CC type. These don't work in PvP. And PvP CCs, which don't have that label and are the ones that actually affects players. Make sure you know the difference so you don't end up relying on a CC that doesn't actually work in PvP. Alright, so first, what exactly is CC, aka crowd control? In PvP, combat is all about CC. It's what lets you disable a player for a specific amount of time till you can finish them before they can fight back. There are 11 types of CCs in the game, and each one keeps your enemy disabled for a certain amount of time. A stun completely stops the player while they are standing for 3 seconds. Stiffness is same as stun but shorter, it only lasts 1.5 seconds. A knockdown sends the player to the ground for a total of 4 seconds. Bound is similar to knockdown but only lasts 2 seconds. Floating sends the player into the air, then drops them on the ground. The whole animations last 3 seconds. Knockback pushes the target back for around 2 seconds. Freezing is a special CC available only on few classes. It freezes the player though they take reduced damage while being frozen. Classes that has this ability are Wizard, Witch and Nova. Though Nova has a skill with 1 minute cooldown that allows her to freeze the target for about 6 seconds. Which means she has 2 freezing abilities. Grab or grapple literally means grabbing the enemy and slamming them into either a bound, float or a knockdown CC. Keep in mind that grabs ignores all protections except iframes, which we will explain later. Down smash is a special type of CC. It's used to extend your combo because they ignore the CC limit, which we will explain later. Though they only have around 30% chance of succeeding, it can be increased to 45% with skill add-ons. Please note, it only works on a player that is on the ground. If the player is standing up, it will not work. Air Smash is also a special type of CC that ignores the CC limit. But this one only works while the target is floating in the air, which can make it hard to achieve on most classes. though this one has a 100% chance of success, unlike down smash, which has only 30% chance. Vacuum or a suction. This one pulls the targets in one spot, locking them down, but they still can use skills and iframe to get out of it. Only few classes have this, and it's considered a very strong CC in group fights. Alright, now that you know the CC types, let's cover their limits. The CC counter system. Every time you land the CC, it adds to a heading CC counter on your target. When that counter reaches 2 or more, the target becomes immune to CC for 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, the counter resets to 0 and the target becomes CCable. A little bit of notes. If a CC is blocked by a super armor, a frontal guard, or an iframe, these are protections, we'll get to explain them in a bit later, it doesn't add to the counter. Which means if the target using one of these protections and get hit by a CC, the counter will still remain 0. Now, not all the CCs add the same amount to the CC counter. Stiffness and knockback only adds 0.7 each. Stun, knockdown, bound, floating, grab, and freeze all adds 1 each. Down smash and air smash equals 0. They just don't add anything to the CC counter. That means you can sometimes land 3 real CCs before the target becomes immune by using smaller weight CCs first. For example, you can open with a stiffness or a knockback, both count as 0.7, then follow up with a knockdown which count as 1. That brings you your total to 1.7, which still leaves room for 1 more CC before you hit the cap. So for your third CC you can use another knockdown, since it's the longest ground CC in the game. After that third one, your target will become CC immune for about 5 seconds, unless you chain in some down smashes to keep them in the ground for a bit more. Just remember, down smashes don't add to the CC counter, but they only have about 30% chance to trigger, so up to 45% if you have add-ons with them. Now let's talk about something you'll hear a lot in high level PvP, the CC reset. The idea behind a CC reset is to keep your target downed for around 5 seconds using down smashes until their CC immunity wears off. Once their immunity ends, you can start a new CC chain and continue your combo like nothing ridiculous just happened. Now, not everyone can achieve this. This one takes really good timing and precision, and it's mostly seen in high level PvP and on specific classes. Not every class can achieve this. Now, as far as I know, Mystic, Sorc, and Warrior are the only classes right now who can achieve this. There could be more classes that I don't know who can achieve this, but please keep in mind, this could change in any update. Okay, now that you understand how CC and the CC count system works, it's time to talk about the other side of PvP. Protections are what keeps you safe from getting CC'd, and there are 3 main types you need to know about. The first one is super armor, as we call it SA. When a skill has a super armor, you are immune to all crowd controls while using it except for grabs. A grab will CC you if you are in a super armor. Now please note that you will still take damage while you are in a super armor. Again, super armor only protects you from every crowd control except a grab, but it will not protect you from damage. Also, while you are in a super armor, you also get a damage reduction bonus. This damage reduction percentage is different on each class. Striker and Mystic get the highest percentage at 25%. Awakening Warrior, Witch, and Guardian get 20%. Succession Corsair, Succession Valkyrie, Scholar, and Shy also get 20%. Musa, Ninja, Kuno, Meiwa, and Awakening Valkyrie gets 15%, while the rest of the classes only get 10%. Please understand this damage reduction percentage will only work while your class is in a super armor. Frontal Guard. This protects you only from the front, covering roughly a 180-degree angle.
in front of your character. It blocks both damage and CC from that direction, but if you are hit from the sides or from behind, you'll get CC'd. Or if your guard gauge breaks, you lose the protections and can be CC'd immediately. Using Frontal Guard can be very dangerous, specifically in group fights, or against classes that can move very fast or get behind you quickly, like Awakening Megu, a Sork, a Musa, or a Mystic, and there are a few more like Hashashin, Ninja, Kuno. All these classes can easily CC you while you are doing your forward guard animations. One thing I forgot to mention while recording this is shield classes Q block is both forward guard and SA, which makes them extremely protected against classes that can't grab them or don't have a grab. While other classes don't really have a Q block, but they still get a block while clicking S by moving backward. Invincibility, aka iframes, is the strongest protections in the game. During an iframe, you take no damage and can't be CC'd from any directions. However, iframe usually lasts only about a second or less and sometimes have a long cooldown, so trying to time it perfectly is very crucial. Preferably you time it against grabs and vacuums. These are the main two CCs that you should be worried about the most. Now you want to master these protections on your class and learn how to rotate them in a good way. Some classes can stay protected in a super armor way longer than the rest, and some classes have the mobility but they can't stay in full super armor. So learn your class identity and see what your class is capable of. Now here is where things get a little bit tricky. Some skills have more than one type of protections. For example, some skills start as a super armor and ends as a frontal guard. These can be a bit risky to use if you mistime them or get hit from the side during the frontal guard animations. Others might go from super armor into an iframe, which sounds great, but can still be dangerous against grab classes, especially if there is bad timing or server desync. Alright, so let's talk about evasion, since a lot of new players ask about whether they should run evasion or DR. Evasion is basically a chance-based defense stats. It gives you a random chance to completely dodge damage. It's often used in uncapped PvP where your gear really matters. Now here's the thing, evasion doesn't really work on every class, it works on few specific classes only, like Mystic, Striker and Hashashin, and a few other classes, because those classes have a skill or a passive that boosts their evasion rate even more. For most other classes, you're better off using damage reduction, because damage reduction actually scales with every class, unlike evasion, which scales only with few classes. Also, evasion builds are meant for endgame and capped PvP, since they need a very high gear and expensive crystal for it to work well. We are talking around 1300 to 1400 total evasion, and it could be more. It could be 1600, which takes a lot of silver and crystal cost and also gear progression. Also, please understand, at the moment of me making this video, evasion is not the meta. Barely anyone uses evasion and everyone using damage reduction. That doesn't mean it won't change at some point, but at this moment it's not the meta and it's not the way to go. So if you are a new player and you're wondering if you should run evasion or damage reduction, the answer is always going to be damage reduction, because damage reductions scale well on every class unlike evasion, and it's also easier to understand. Now let's talk about what counters evasion, and that is accuracy. Accuracy is what decides if your hits actually connect or not. And if you don't have enough of it, your skills hits will miss. As you notice, each skill have multiple hits, and when you have low accuracy, some if not all of these skills will miss and deal no damage. In order to start doing some damage to evasion builds, you're going to need at least 250 accuracy lower than their evasion in order to start noticing the damage. For example, if they have 1250 evasion, you're going to need 1000 accuracy at least to start noticing the damage. Accuracy in general is you are sacrificing AP, which means attack points,
for more hit rates, which makes you weaker against damage reduction builds but stronger against evasion builds. Now let's talk about damage reduction, or DR. DR is the most common defensive stats in PvP. You will see a lot of people recommending it because it's far more simple and easy to understand, unlike evasion, and it also works on every class. What DR does, unlike evasion, which dodges the attacks completely based on a chance, DR just reduces the damage you take when you get attacked, which makes it more reliable because it doesn't really rely on a chance to protect you. However, keep in mind that DR doesn't make you invincible. If someone has a really high AP, which what counters DR, they will melt you. Think of DR as a consistent layer of protection. Its job is simply to reduce the incoming damage. For example, if you have 30% damage reduction and someone hits you for 1000 damage, you will only take 700 damage instead. Now let's talk about AP, or attack power. Attack power is the main stat that decides how much damage your skill do in PvP, but it's not the only thing that matters. Your human damage, aka adventure damage that got changed recently, also adds directly to your total PvP damage. AP is the direct counter to DR, or damage reduction. The more AP you have, the more damage you will deal, especially against DR builds. While AP is crucial to get the most out of your damage, it must be balanced with other important stats like accuracy for an offensive stat or defensive stats like DR and evasion. Focusing mainly on AP will only make you a squishy target and easy to kill. To put everything simply, BlackDesert PvP stats work is kind of a rock paper scissors system. Evasion is strong against AP. If your attacks, no matter how strong they are, they can't land, your AP doesn't really work. While AP is strong against DR, the more AP you have, the easier you cut through their damage reduction. And DR is strong against accuracy. Even if your hits land, they are not doing the full damage potential because of the lower AP at the cost of more accuracy. Think of it as a full circle. Each stat has its own strength, but also its own weakness. Now, special attack damage. I did cover this in my PvE crystal guide, so I will try to simplify it here. Special attack damage are bonus multipliers that allows your skills to do more damage. They trigger depending on how you hit your target. If you hit them from the back, that means back attack damage. If you hit them while they're on the ground, that's down attack damage. If they are floating in the air, that means air attack damage. And critical hit damage depends on how much critical hit rate you have, both in the stats and also on the skill. Each skill have a different critical hit rate. So here's the bonus damage that they deal. Back attack deals 120% damage in PvP when you hit an enemy from behind. Down attack also deals 120% damage while the enemy is knocked down. Air attack deals 170% damage while the enemy is floating, making it the strongest special attack damage modifier. And lastly, critical hit always deals 200% damage in both PvE and PvP. Something important to know is critical hit damage stacks with all other special attack damage. For example, if you are dealing down attack damage, you can still land critical damage with it, which increases your skill damage quite a lot. Also, please understand that not all your skills will have special attack modifiers built in them. Some will have down attack modifiers built in them like this one. Some will have both for air attack and down attack like this one. And some will have nothing built in them. Now let's talk about PvP mods, or at least what's left of them. AOS, or Arena of Solare, is by far the most popular PvP mod we have right now. It's a 3 vs 3 game mode with capped gear. It has its own pre-made gear and crystals that you can choose from. The only requirement it needs from you is to be on a level 60 character. Red Battlefield is an uncapped, kinda large scale PvP game mode. This one can be fun if you are geared for it, but it's mostly empty unless there is an event running where it kinda boosts the silver income from it and people will do it for that. Node War and Siege, both of these are large-scale guild versus guild fights. This can be capped or uncapped depending on the tier. If you plan to join a Node War guild, don't be shy to ask your guildmates about the setups and crystals, and even help to learn your class in PvP. Battle Arena is the best place to practice your PvP combo or even PvE. You can enter with a trial character which has its own gear that you can buy from the NPC. It's mostly uncapped and crystals still matters here. There are some nice players around, so don't be shy to ask for help with PvP and even class advices. Since BDO is a sandbox, there is an open world PvP, though it's kinda dead at the moment. First one is Duel for Spot. This is where you want to duel another player for the grind zone they are grinding at, so you can grind that zone instead of them. This doesn't really happen anymore. Flagging up or negative karma. You can attack anyone in BDO as long as they are outside a safe zone or they are on a level 50 character or above. Though this can lead to being negative karma, or as we like to call it, red players. Going red can destroy your crystals and even downgrade your gear, so I don't really recommend it unless you really want to walk down that path, which can be extremely hard. There are 3 PvP servers in BDO. Arsha is just the same as normal server, but in here you can kill players with no penalties. Also, the servers are mostly filled with players that has endgame gear. Same applies to Anonymous Arsha, but in here you don't see other players' names. But you will see something called Unknown Adventurer on top of their character. Seasonal PvP is same as Arsha server, but it's dedicated to only seasonal characters where only seasonal gear is allowed on the server. Now this server can be great, the only issue with it is there are some endgame players playing on it with their endgame crystals, which can make the fights unfair and unfun. One last thing about the Arsha servers is they offer a 50% drop chance for PvE. Before doing any PvP outside Arena of Solare, you are going to need to pop some buffs, because they make a big difference in PvP. For food buff, just use Exquisite Crone Meal. It's an all-in-one meal that gives you a lot of buffs, including AP, accuracy, HP, stamina, and even special attack damage. For other buffs, you can grab a Church or a Tent buff, they both give the same buffs, for the extra AP, accuracy, and HP and DR. Same goes for Villa buff. Villa buff is very important when it comes to HP. This one gives you 200 HP, also 10 AP and 10 damage reduction. As for consumables, it kinda depends on the type of PvP you are doing. In capped PvP, use Harmony Draft and Deep Sea Elixir for the extra special attack damage. Always prioritize the special attack damage. In uncapped PvP, it depends on your matchup. You can go with Deep Sea for the special attack damage or with Courage Perfume for the higher AP. You can also use the new perfume that's called Perfume of Envy and Tenacity. These are new perfume, they offer just a little bit more AP, but they are way more expensive. I don't really recommend using them, but they are an option. And you can also use with them the Human Harmony Draft for the extra damage and defense. Now let's talk a little bit about desync. Sometimes you'll get grabbed even though you are in iframe, or get CC'd while you are in super armor, as you see right here in front of you. It happens when what you see on your screen doesn't match what the server sees. Sadly, everyone deals with it. There is no fixing it, so don't really stress about it much and just enjoy the game. Now let's talk about some of the mistakes you're probably going to make in PvP and how we can improve on them. A lot of players panic and start spamming every skill they have as soon as the fight starts. Now this can work sometimes, but in BDO you need to manage your skill cooldowns and know which ability is available at the right time. To make this easier, go to your skill menu by pressing K. All the way down in the middle you will see something called Skill Cooldown Slot. Here you can select few skills you always want visible on your screen so you can track their cooldowns. This will make it easier for you to know which skill is available and which one is not. You can even add notes under each skill, like the type of protections or the CC or even the key combo you use to activate the skill. It's very helpful, especially when you are learning your class and trying to build a proper combo or a rotation. After setting that up, press escape, then select edit UI and look for the slots labeled from CD1 all the way to CD20. These are the cooldown slots you just selected. You can move them and place them anywhere on your screen so you can always see when they are ready or when they are on cooldown. Having your cooldown visible makes a massive difference, especially when you haven't yet memorized your class cooldowns. This will help you with that and will help you understand your class even more. Using unprotected skills in the middle of a fight is one of the easiest way to get your ass CC'd or killed. Always make sure you know which of your abilities have super armor, frontal guard or iframe like we talked about, and build your skill rotations around those. Keep rotating your protections to stay safe, because the moment you drop your guard for even a second, you become an easy CC target. Many classes have fast movement skills or wide area CCs that can easily catches you if you left unprotected. PDO is a movement heavy game. Standing still or always dashing in the same direction makes you an easy target, especially for grab classes. Mix up your movement, reposition often, and use protected mobility skills to stay unpredictable. The more you move, the harder you become to catch and the more annoying you become to the enemy. Which brings us to our next point, stamina management. Now, to manage your stamina, that's something extremely hard. It requires a lot of knowledge on the class, and even that sometimes might not be enough. If you run out of stamina, you can't iframe or dash or pretty much use any movement skill. All you can do is just stay in super armor or full guard, and that just screams free CC to your opponent. If you notice your stamina starting to get low, try to stay in distance while using super armor or frontal guard to stay protected while you can recover some of your stamina back, while also being away from the enemy so they can't grab you. Now, I'll be leaving 2 links in the descriptions of ways how to increase your stamina and health. They are both made by BDO Foundry and both are great. One thing they missed from the stamina increase guide is that your stamina can be increased from titles. So trying to achieve at least 800 titles, that will give you around 150 stamina. That will be so much helpful in PvP. Crystals makes a huge difference in PvP, and each mod usually needs a different setup. For Arena of Solare, the easiest way to start is by copying the crystal builds from the top ranked players of your class. You can tweak them later when you start understanding your class and your playstyle. For Node War and Sieges, check your guild or class discords. They usually have recommended setups for your class or the Node War tier you are doing. It's hard to give a crystal setup since every class and game mode is a bit different. So I'll be dropping the link to the BDO official Discord in the descriptions, where you can check every class Discord and you can check your class Discord from there. And you can join it and check the recommendations for the crystal setups and even combos. And while you are there, check which skills to lock. Yes, in PvP you are going to lock some skills on almost every class. Most common skills to lock are Evasion. This one is a PvE iframe that's very helpful in PvE, but in PvP it can get you killed because the iframe doesn't work in PvP. The second one is Rage Transfer. This one allows you to transfer your Black Spirit Rage to another player. It's better to lock it and have it on a quick slot in case you need to use it. Add-ons play a big role in PvP. They can boost your attack speed, tankiness, special attack damage, and even apply debuffs to the enemies. But just like crystals, every class has its own add-on setup for each PvP game mode. For Arena of Solare, the easiest way to start is by checking the top ranking players of your class. Copy their add-ons until you understand your class. Then you can start adjusting them to your playstyle. For Node War, Open World PvP, and even PvP, The best place to check for add-ons is your class Discord. You can equip add-ons on 6 skills, and each skill can slot 2 effects. In order to activate the add-ons, you need to hit a target to activate it. It will not be activated if you use the skill without hitting anything. Now let's go over class self-buffs. Your E buff unlocks once you hit level 56 and you choose either Awakening or Succession. It's your main class buff, usually activated with E or Shift E, though some classes need to put it into a quick slot. It gives you powerful buffs and unique visual effects for 30 seconds depending on your class, but it has 3-minute cooldown, so use it wisely. Also, some classes E buff gives them a 10-second super armor at the start of the skill. As you fight, your Black Spirit Rage bar will fill up. You can either use your 100% skill for a burst of damage and a 60-second buff. It will give you 30 AP, 25% attack speed, 30% critical hit rate, or absorb it with Rage Absorption skill, which gives you a similar buff faster. Some classes prefer absorbing the skill because their 100% skill animation is either slow, unsafe, or just straight up bad damage in PvP. At 200% you can get an even stronger version. It will give you 55 AP, 25% attack speed and 50% critical hit rate. And with that 2000 HP for 60 seconds. But 200% skill usually look cooler than they actually perform in PvP, which means they do really bad damage. Now everyone is limited to only 100% rage unless you put on specific crystals and specific artifacts, and also lightstone combos to increase how much rage you can obtain. There are some skills that uses smaller amount of rage, like 10%, 25% and 50%. You can check which of your skills uses rage by opening the skill menu and clicking Black Spirit Rage at the bottom right. From there you can also lock some specific skills that you don't want them to use rage. Or if you want to lock rage entirely, you can click Alt B. This one will lock the whole rage meter, so you don't accidentally use your 100% skill. But you can still use your Rage Absorption skill while it's locked. Now, Rage Transfer is where you give half of your rage, which is like 50%, to a party or a platoon member. This is very useful in Node War or Arena of Solare. This one is used when a teammate is on a class that benefits from their 100% skill. Either it's an Awakening Valkyrie, Succession Zerker, or even a Succession Corsair for her heals. Though please understand, this list can change in any update. This is one of your most important defensive skills. When you press V, your character turns into a Black Spirit and becomes completely invulnerable, aka iframe, for a short amount of time. While you are in it, you can't attack or be attacked. Though please remember, it has a 5-minute cooldown, so please use it wisely. And that's it. PvP in Black Desert isn't easy. It's complicated, frustrating, and you will probably question your life choices. But in the end, it's worth every second. Not because PvP is super rewarding, it really is not, but because it's the most fun part about the game. BDO uniqueness comes from the combat system being the best out of all other MMOs, especially when it comes to PvP. So take every fight as a lesson and keep on learning. And if you guys think I missed something important, please drop it in the comments. It helps me out and also helps out the new players trying to get into PvP. Anyway, hopefully this video was helpful. And as always, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.